Sandhya and today I'm here with my October wrap up. If you don't watch all of my videos and you're wondering why this is late, basically Little Mix decided to drop an album at the beginning of the month, and because I didn't want it to come super late, my video for it, I decided to move around my schedule for the beginning of the month a little bit. So I first did new music and my Little Mix album, then today you're getting this, and then tomorrow the new movies I watched this month. So yeah, just a little PSA in case you didn't know. Also, there hasn't been vlogs for the past couple of weeks because I've been sick, and therefore I haven't been reading much, and also haven't been vlogging much. So yeah, that's also the first thing I'm going to say. I only have three new books to talk to you about today, because I didn't read much at the end of October because like I said, I got sick, and combining that with school, even though it was online, which is very exhausting. When I was done, I didn't want to read anymore. So yeah, I don't have a lot to say, so let's start with some stats. I'm gonna grab my laptop first. So in the month of October in total I read 7 books, which amounted to 2,208 pages read, and 4 of those books that I read I owned. These are my lowest stats for the year, which seems a little bit weird because I feel like last year this was about the average, a little bit more was the average, but now it's my lowest reading month, which is weird. But I'm happy I managed to read over half of the books that I read this month were books I owned, so that's an accomplishment. So yeah, I'm discussing stats more now because I don't know what else to do with this video. Then for star ratings, I have 1 3-star, 5 4-stars, and 1 5-star. It was the month of 4 stars. I can't really explain it. Then for authors, we have 4 female authors, 1 male author, and 2 others. That's 1 non-binary author and 1 book that had both a female and a male author. So yeah. Then for the age range, we have 5 young adult books and 2 adult books. And then for genre, this is also the shortest list ever, because we have 3 fantasies, 3 contemporaries, and 1 horror. Like I said, it's a short list. Normally, I feel like the month in which I read the most different genres was February, and this is definitely the shortest. I only read 3 genres this month, which, well, considering I only read 7 books, I feel like that's still impressive, but a little bit disappointed by that. I wanted to read more diversity, I guess, in genres. So I also did a mid-month wrap up in the middle of the month, which I shouldn't have done because I definitely could have discussed all of the books properly in this video, but I'm glad I did, because like I predicted in the middle of the month, I barely remember anything from the first couple of books I read during the month, so that's great. So I'm just quickly going to go over them. A link to that video is in the description down below, so you can go watch it and know more of my in-depth thoughts about these books. So yeah, the first book I read this month is The Lost Book of the Right by Cassandra Clare Wesley Shue, which I gave 4 to 5 stars. Then I read 10 Things I Hate About Pinky by Menon, which I also gave 4 to 5 stars. Then I read My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix, which I gave 3 out of 5 stars. And then I read The Death of Vivek Oji by Akweki Amenzi, which I gave 4 to 5 stars, and it is a Gallic from NetGalley, even though I got to it very late, so excuse me. And then for the next 3 books, there's gonna be a lot of repetition because one of the books I already talked about in a video I did earlier this month, and then the other 2 books I'm gonna talk about in a video that comes in November, wow. So I'm sorry. The first book I read in the second half of the month is Of Curses and Kisses by Sandhya Menon. I gave this book 5 to 5 stars. This book follows 2 main characters. We follow Jaya and Gray. Jaya is an Indian princess, and Gray is a British lord. I don't know exactly. I'm sorry. Their families have been at war, have been rivals, I guess, for ages. Way back in the day, one of Gray's ancestors stole something from Jaya's ancestors, so one of Jaya's ancestors cursed Gray's family. So it's a whole thing. That's basically how it started, and now they just got into just insulting each other in the press, kind of, and being mean to each other. And at the beginning, the novel starts off because Jaya's younger sister has gotten in the press in a bad way. That wasn't necessarily anything she did bad, but just the way it was presented in the press was bad. And Jaya knows that a young male heir leaked the story to the press, and she immediately assumes that it's Gray because he's the heir to his family, and the families have hated each other. And to kind of get away from the press, Jaya and her sister are sent to St. Rosetta's Academy, which is a boarding school for kind of the elite. And so yeah, they are sent there, and Jaya immediately finds out that Gray is also going to that school. So she comes up with a plan to make Gray fall in love with her and then break his heart because reasons. And then Gray has been kind of distanced from his family because his family believes the curse is specifically about him, so they want to like shove him away, lock him in the school so he wouldn't cause any damage to the family, I guess. I don't really get the motives. It's stupid, but they did it. So Gray is miserable and genuinely believes that the curse is real. Jaya's family just doesn't believe in it, thinks it's just like a random thing. One of the ancestors just like did to express anger, but not really has any merit to it. But yeah, Gray's family believes in it hardcore, so like he is like dreading the thing because the way the curse goes, he like it's coming close, the ending, you know? I'm not gonna say more. But yeah, that was a long ass explanation, I'm sorry. But I did a video earlier this month in October, in which I talked about all the Sandhya Menon books. So this was the last book I needed to read for that. Not that I was specifically reading for that video, I just really wanted to read this book because I've been obsessed with Sandhya Menon recently. But yeah, I finished the book and I immediately filmed that video. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I really liked our two main characters. I think they were great to follow. They were very different but worked together really well, and I really liked how their relationship, it's a hate to love relationship, obviously. And I really liked how they transitions between those two, because I read 10 Things I Hate About Pinky earlier this month, and this is also a hate to love, and I absolutely hated the romance in this. I was a bit hesitant going into this book, but I really liked the way the hate to love was done in this, because at first they like hated each other, but like at least Jaya was like pretending to like him and he was just kind of indifferent. And then, you know, they actually start talking and hanging out more, and they become friendly, and they start talking about more serious things and could be even better friends. And then eventually they like both are like, oh shit, I have feelings for this human being. And I really liked how that transition was done. For the rest, I was also just really engaged into this story. I just flew through it. I had a great time reading it. I was completely obsessed with it. I really like the fact that by the ending it's still up to your own interpretation if you think the curse is real or not, and I really appreciate that. There's also a great cast of side characters which I was really excited about, and then especially because afterwards I learned that this is a companion series, so we'll be following different characters in the next couple of books, so I am very excited to follow those characters. Then the next book I read this month is The Iron Traitor by Julie Kagawa, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars. And I really know how to talk about this series because there's a second book in the Call of the Forgotten series, the Iron Face Call of the Forgotten series. There's a spin-off series to the Iron Face series. The Iron Face series follows Megan Chase, who is half fae, half human, doesn't find out until her 16th birthday when her brother, Ethan Chase, who is the main character in this series, is kidnapped, and she has to go back into, like, she has to go into like the fairy realm to find her brother, and like a lot of other things happen. And then this series follows Ethan Chase, and I'm not gonna say more about it because I feel like it will be spoilery. It follows Ethan Chase as he's a teen and his own adventures with the fairy, and I love this series so much. Like, all of the books individually are 4 stars. I'm gonna do a series discussion soon, that's what I'm talking about. So all of the books individually are 4 stars, but I love this series so much because I think it does such a great job. And this second book was amazing. I absolutely flew through this. Like I said, I was on a slump at this time, so kudos. But I generally just had a great time reading this. I had a lot of fun. I really like these characters. One of like the bigger problems in the first book was that the relationship between Ethan and his love interest is very insta-love in the first book, and I mean, this book takes place only like a week after the first one, so it's not that much less of an insta-love, but I feel like Julie Kagawa really shows that these two characters like have a mature relationship. Like, they butt heads, you know. There's a certain point where they have like a conflict between them, and it takes a bit for them to talk about it because they're like in an action moment. They can't just step aside and talk, you know. They are in danger, but once they are out of the danger and they have a chance to like sit down and talk, they do, and they both express, hey, this is why I'm acting like this, and this is why what you did hurt me, and all of that. They just talked and communicated. Oh, loved it. I want to take note of that because I feel like a lot of YA fantasy that isn't the case. One of the main complaints I hear for YA fantasy romances is that communication is just lacking, and all of their conflicts are by lack of communication. So I really enjoyed that they just communicated. Yes. For the rest, I just also really like the plot. I like the way this was developed as well. I feel like we learned a lot in this book about the motivations of like the villain in the series. I thought that was very interesting. I feel like this series just in general just keeps me thinking a lot, because I feel like the topic of the forgotten, which I'm not gonna explain more, but the topic of the forgotten is so interesting, and I like that we have different characters and like different sides of this problem, because it really got me thinking. I really like this series a lot. The only reason why it's not 5 stars is because I feel like the characters are a little bit one-dimensional. Like, I love these characters a lot. I really prefer them over the ones in the original series. But I feel like, I don't know, I'm missing some depth with them, and therefore I can fully connect to the story and them, but it's so damn close. So yeah. The last book I read this month is The Iron Warrior by Kagawa. I give this 4 to 5 stars. It's the 3rd book in the Iron Figure Forgotten series. And the 2nd one ended on such a cliffhanger that I'm so sorry for everyone who was reading the series while it was being published, because damn. So because of that, I immediately had to jump into this book. And again, there's another one I flew through. I read this on Halloween, like in the morning. And that's generally what I did my morning of Halloween, just like read this book and like fly through it. I wasn't planning to read the entire book that morning, but damn. I kind of feel weird talking about this book, like, because I feel like I discussed most spoiler-free points already with the last book. But again, this book did a lot of expansion on the world, because it's the final book in a YA series. You know that there was a war in this, and I feel like that war was very well done. The one in the Iron Fist series, I didn't hate, but I also wasn't that engaged with it. And in this one, I really felt it all. I was like, high stakes, and the ending was so satisfying. I really liked where they ended this off. And I think that was the best way to end it. Generally, even though it was a tiny bit predictable, I kind of at this day like just seeing how every YA fantasy ever goes. You're like, okay, this is going in that direction. But I feel like the book did do a great job of keep you on the edge of your seat to see if she's really going that direction or not. And then again, we had some great relationship development in this book for Ethan and his love interest. Again, just communicating whenever they can. I appreciate it. I just noticed that the tagline for this book is the epic final adventure, and I agreed, it was epic. So action-packed, I'm on the edge of my seat. The main reason why I couldn't put this down is because I just wanted to know what was gonna happen next, because it was so engaging. This is also the book where the characters from the original series pop up the most, and I really like the way they are the way they are used in the story. They're used really well. They're not just like a nostalgia factor or whatever. It's done really well. And yeah, I just completely fell in love with this world, and I'm so glad this isn't the last one in this world, because in 2021 a book following Puck is being published, and I believe that's also going to be a series. So I'm super excited for that, because I can't leave this world yet. Honestly, if you know my thoughts on the Iron Fist series, which I read earlier in the year, you know I didn't really like it a lot, but I'm so glad I pushed through it to get to this series, because excellent. There will be a series discussion for this series coming soon, so if you want to know more of my thoughts that will spoil the original series a bit, then wait for that. But yeah, that was all I have for this month's wrap up. I'm so sorry, but also we're 8 days into November when I'm filming this. When you're seeing this, it's later, and I also still haven't finished the book in November, so the slump's still going on, but I'm reading more, so I'm getting into reading more now, so that's great. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of these books, if you've read them, as well as some of the books you read in the month of October, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Good. Here I am again, the same old situation. Why does the God thing have to be so complicated? Should have